Hey y'all, it's Courtney here, and today's video is going to be all about a full body workout. This is going to have a lot of compound movements. The idea is to work your lower body and upper body at the same time with some core and some kind of cardio stuff thrown in there. I love these total body routines for people who, they can't commit to the 5 days at the gym or even 4 days at the gym. So we talk about doing an arm day, a leg day, and then a full body day, or just 3 full body days. They're really great for getting your heart rate up. So if you're someone who's looking to burn fat and that's really what you're trying to accomplish, these total body workouts are going to be really great for that. If you're not so interested in getting your calorie expenditure that high, cut out some of the cardio stuff and replace it with, just isolated movements. This is great for beginners or people who are a little bit more advanced. Just change it up as you need. So anyway, here's the footage.
So the way that this works is basically we're going to do 3 exercises back to back to back and rest. This first exercise is a lunge with a bicep curl. Now you can do hammer curls, you can do just kind of the static curls that I'm doing where you're twisting your arm in for the curl, but whichever curl seems to work best for you. And what you want to focus on is not letting that front knee go over your toe. It can be in line with your toe. But otherwise, if you need to take bigger, wider, or shorter steps, I prefer these shorter steps just because of balance, and then also I feel like it hits my glutes and my quads a little bit more than some of the other moves. You're going to do 10 reps on each side, so 20 total. I picked 10 pounds for my weights. Just make sure you have something that you can do 20 total reps of. This next exercise that you're going to go straight into is kind of like plank jacks. See how I'm tapping my toes to the outside? Really focus on bringing your core in. It's really hard to keep your butt down like a normal plank in these just because you may not have the strength or stability. And sometimes it's just awkward to do it that way. So my butt is a little bit higher than it should be for a normal plank, which is fine in this case. Just make sure that you're keeping tight through your core. And the last of the 3 exercises is going to be a squat into an overhead press. I have my palms facing each other, but you can have your palms facing forward. And the most important thing with this squat is to make sure that you are sitting back. Your weight should be over your midfoot, not in your heel. If you have certain types of running shoes, there may be too much padding, so you may just want to take your shoes off so that you can really sit back and make sure that your hip goes below your knee. You're going to do 10 of these. After that, you're going to rest for a minute and repeat it 2 more times. The next set of 3 is going to start with this kind of side lunge into an overhead press. Notice that I'm not getting super deep into that side lunge, and that's just because you don't really need to. You're going to really feel it in that glute, in that outer thigh, and then you're pressing up and extending that arm. It should feel in your shoulders. And here I did my second set from another angle so that you can kind of see what my butt's doing. See how it's going back? Make sure that you're focusing on sitting into that hip as you're coming down and pressing up as you're coming up. And you're going to do about 10 of these on each side. This next exercise is a mix of 2. So you're going to do a glute bridge, or some people call this a glute ham bridge, whatever, mixed with a chest press. It's kind of like a floor press, and it pretty much is a floor press just with dumbbells. Your elbow should hit the ground, or at least get pretty close to the ground, as you squeeze your glutes up to thrust your hips upward. Notice how my heels are mostly on the platform, and that's so that I can really drive through my heels. This third exercise is meant to hit your obliques. So think of it as a mix between a V-up but not quite, bringing your arms around to the side, almost like you're trying to touch the side of your foot. Try and keep your neck neutral. That's, I think, the hardest part about this, while really focusing on those obliques as you're coming up. Again, you're going to do all of these exercises 3 times with about a minute of rest in between each 3 of these sets. The next set of 3 is going to start with an elevated back lunge. You basically need some sort of elevation. If you don't have it, you can just do a steady back lunge. I go a little bit deeper with my back lunges than my front lunges, just because it helps me to sink back a little bit more. And see how I'm pushing off with that back leg to bring myself back up. It's great for shorties too, because sometimes I just feel like those back lunges, they're not as challenging when you're short, and I think it's a lover's thing, but this does really help me to bring more focus into my glutes than into my quads. And I superset that with this little skipping motion. Basically, I'm just alternating bringing that foot up in almost a skipping motion. If you're not quite there where you can't get that fast of footwork, you can just step up and step down, especially if you're winded by the time you've gotten to this particular exercise. Just modify it. And we end with these almost like leg raises, but you're bringing your knee in. I find leg raises don't hit my abs nearly as much as they should. So what they usually do is they just stress out my hip flexors. So I found this is a good way to engage my core. And then I brace myself or support myself with my arms to keep myself upright. And that helps again to bring more of that focus into my abs than into my hip flexors. And you're going to repeat all of these 3 times with a minute rest in between.